Hello everybody, this is Oddish, here for another Semi-Noob Plays StarCraft 2. I'm your host, the Semi-Noob, Oddish. So, this is a recent game that I actually played a while, was it today? Either today or last night, against a guy called GoodAsh. So apparently he's better than the cartoon Ash, if you know what I mean. Unintentional Pokemon puns galore, as always. So, in terms of this game, this was a very interesting one because for the entirety of it, I was thinking I was going to lose, which is very common for me since I'm very unconfident in terms of my ability to be able to play StarCraft, and that is simply because of the fact that I am still Silver League and cannot freaking get out of it. So you understand the pain that I have to deal with. My opponent, Mr. GoodAsh, is going to place down a pylon here, and most likely going to put a forge down there, and then maybe a gateway or two, and then maybe a couple dozen cannons, and then maybe he'll put more cannons up here, or, you know. But instead, first he's going to scout. How do I know all this? Well, considering the fact that I am in the replay. He does this weird thing where he tries to steal a little bit of minerals. I don't know if it actually does any damage, but he's just kind of chilling there. So at one point I'm like, you know what? Screw this. You're dead, probe. You walked into the wrong bar. So now you're gonna die. At the same time, for once, I actually scout. This is a new thing for me. It's like, should probably scout at about the 10 mark for supply. So, yeah, he's throwing down the forge now. I'm working on my spawning pool, so theoretically I'm actually going to have forces before he will, which is always a nice thing. Drone count is, well, worker count, he's one ahead of me. I don't know if he is actually doing the whole chrono boost thing on himself. But yeah, he was ahead of me, now we're even. I'm just, you know, dancing around, and then he will eventually cause me to run away. But I do see the fact that he has a forge, and the fact that he's going for at least one gas. I wasn't able to spot the second one, but I do see the fact that he's got a forge. I do see the fact that he's got something in the front, which will cause me... Oh, nope, I don't got it yet, but... I do realize at this point that because of that attack, when I killed that probe... Oh, and now he should be going for the gateway now. And a photon cannon, but yeah. Back when I was killing that probe, I usually would... I then threw a spawning pool, but I neglected the extractor, which you can probably guess is a problem. Also, I'm a little bit dispatterned in that I make 2 overlords instead of saving larva for instead of using that larva for zerglings or drones. So this was a little bit of a mistime on me. However, I'm going for a second base, which is a strategy pretty much where I'm like, you know what, I'm not even going to try doing a 13 pool rush because of that block-in, that, you know, I'll just try for a more metagame approach. So, he tries to throw pylon down there. I don't know if that was really what was intention, honestly, for that one was either just to mess with me, to give him some ability to warp in, but obviously, I already had my hatchery down there, so I saw it clearly when he was coming. In terms of units, he's creating one zealot. He is throwing down a cybernetics core, which means that he will most likely either be going for, well, higher tech, but definitely he will be going into stalkers, at least, have the ability to, and he will probably be going warp gate, because that is very, very good for this matchup. Just making a large amount of units and just decimate my army because of the speed at which they can make. He's got his second base going down now. Mine's completed, but I'm not yet. I'm making the drones for it now, actually. Trying to get my economy boosted up a little bit more so that I can go higher. My direction... I'm not really making anything in terms of real units. I am throwing a Baneling nest down. I haven't really... And I'm upgrading now. I haven't really dedicated myself to making units at the point. The only thing I got right now is 8 Zerglings compared to, well, one Zealot. And this is something that I noticed in the entirety of the match, though, that he tends to... The forces that he has is the forces that he's got. He isn't so much focused on constantly making a whole ton of units. I guess you would almost describe that as an all-in style, but even then, it's not as far as it could go. I'll just throw up the nameplate up now. He is going for his Mothership Core, which is good. I'm throwing down a Roach Warren, creep tumors, trying to spread some creep. And what I will do next is I will be placing down an evolution chamber sometime. Going for double gas there. Haven't touched gas here yet though, but I will need to in order to get farther. He already has double Stargate going down, and he's right now producing a wave of Phoenixes in an intent to mess with, well, my giant balloons of supplies. And once those get dead, well, there's problem there. You can also take down my queens, which are going to give me a big headache. Up, there's the Warp Gate tech, throwing down 2 pylons, Twilight's Council, and here, relatively, is the engagement where he will take down. Apparently, I've killed one of his workers. Oh yeah, I killed one of his workers and one of his units. I don't know when, but he will be taking down at least one of my overlords. I was able to take down one of his phoenixes though, so in terms of cost efficiency, right now I'm winning. However, he is going for Void Rays, which is a problem. But given how much money that he's got, he's not producing Zealots, he's not producing Stalkers. He could easily produce well, no, now it seems he's producing probes, and additional gateways, but he's not really going in for a giant army. If we go, he's still got more probes than me, however, but he's got 9 on there and 17 on there. Compared, I've got 14 here and 15 there, so I've got good saturation across the board. He's more focused on 1. Now, this I do not see at all. I don't suspect at all. And this comes to bite me in the butt a little bit later, but it's more of a pain. This is pretty much a close proximity proxy pylon that will allow him to get some DTs out right close to my base and do some damage. Now I'm getting out Hydralisks, Roaches, I'm getting Groove Spines, and I'm getting Missile Attack level 1. He's got his Void Rays out, however, in his base, and he will be moving out a pack of 3 to engage me. He will also be sending out his Hero Zealot with the ability power to get killed quickly, as well as the Mothership Core, which will add additional support and ranged air firepower. He also has that 1 Phoenix that somehow survived. Now, I don't have any static defense, but I do have a lot of Hydralisks. So, I'm trying to spread some creep right now since I'm not doing a whole lot else besides building units. There is an attempt at an engagement from me. I see him, he sees me, he backs off. I engage, I lose 2 Hydras. And I ultimately lose this engagement. Just because those Void Rays just end up overpowering my small Hydralisk count at the time. But I'm going for a full 10, as well as an additional 4 Roaches. Now, he will be going after... He does retreat for fear of me killing him. I do get that Phoenix, and I will take out the Mothership Core, and he will remain with his 2 Void Rays. One of them heavily damaged, his shield's down right now, and some health damage to it. But he's still bringing in more, 2 at a time. At that point, the thing I need to do right now is build more Hydralisks and get some defense, honestly. That's what I need to do in order to repel this air toss. But it's not just air toss that's going on. He's also throwing in Zealots, unupgraded, and he's got some DTs, which are going to put in some harass and could do some damage to me, theoretically. Now, he moves in with the Void Rays. I clearly see them. He will stop me from being able to get new creep termers, which will disable my creep spread. And he will be engaging with these, with the Dark Templar. And he will be doing quite a massive amount of damage. So with that, I make some Overseers. I'm like, shit, I need to get them all grouped up in one so that I have better manage of them. Overseer's turn, I see him, and I kill all of his Dark Templar, as well as finishing off his Void Rays. Well, except one. See, for whatever reason, only one ever survives out of his engagements. He will go in with Zealots trying to do something, but ultimately fails just because of the sheer amount of ranged units that I have in my party. Well, in my army. That one dies, so he's got no... In terms of his unit count, he has one Dark Templar, and he is going towards Archon and Void Ray. Now let's look at upgrades. Right now, I've got level 1 missiles, Groove Spines, which gives me range distance for my Hydra. Let's get a metabolic boost. He's got Warp Gate, excuse me. Now at this point I get wise. It's like, you know what? He's going to continue going Sky Toss, or a mix of Sky Toss as well as Gateway units. I need to put some static defense, so I throw up Spore Crawlers, not only here, I also put 2 Spine Crawlers at the beginning, but I also get smart, and from an earlier one where this helped a lot, I line, not incredibly tightly, but enough to do some damage, Spore Crawlers along my flank, so that not only do I have this part, but also this part, which will be facing him, and the only real gap is this space here that he could get through, but he doesn't know the extent of my my range. Now, while that's going on, he expands not 1, not 2, but 3 bases. And one of them is technically my third, or my third. One of the ones I could take as my third, and a 5th. Well, one of my 5ths. He also expands at his third, and this will generate a lot of income for him. Which he seems to be fairly good at getting rid of. He's going for Robotics Bay, meaning that he'll be bringing in Colossus, which is a real good counter for my Roach Hydra mix. But his armies is very weak compared to mine. It's 1 Dark Templar, 2 Archons, a Void Ray, a Sentry, and a Mothership Core. And that will not be able to handle against this composition. Now, I know these just out of range. No, I don't, actually. He warps in some DTs. He could have warped in some Zealots. They would have had more health, I think. And maybe done a little bit more damage. He tries to flank me with his only his arc, but instead gets smart and is like, you know what? I'm going to take some damage anyway. I'm going to attack the main base. So it's just pretty much me gutting out his second, well, his natural and his main base at this point. And instead, at the same time as this is all going, I'm getting attacked. He's doing pretty bad damage. I'm losing a lot of units, but at the same time he's losing a lot of himself. My queen dies, which is pretty bad. She was my creep spreading one, I think. But then he goes into the main base, and this is where things turn around. I've called back my army stupidly, but ultimately, because of the static defense that I've got, as well as the units that I'm still generating, I'm able to take them down. What is my immediate call to this? Replenish my army and press again. I've still got this little guy that's going to be harassing, but not doing much beyond that. Zerg attack level 2, well, Zerg missile level 2 is going to be almost done. He's still sticking to the Dark Templar. I remember he took out 2 of my units there. All I had to do was move my Overseers back into position, and then bam, they're dead. So, his better solution is honestly to go Colossus, but instead he's mixing with Archons and DTs, and that ultimately will not help him. And at this point he just gives up, which, you know what, things weren't exactly looking good for him. I had gutted his main base, no, his natural, but he had so much income. His income was definitely higher than mine, which is surprising that there's only a 300 difference. But if we look at the units, I've got 43 drones on 2 bases, and I'm just expanded to a third. So what I'm good for, I believe, is I'm really good at keeping my expansions growing. I continually push forward, and I make sure that my bases are saturated, so I can go this much further. My ending army was 34 Hydralisks, 9 Roaches, and 4 Overseers in this one army, along with +2 0, which I could have actually, given how much, and I still had such a huge surplus that the only thing that I was hindered by was the fact that he, well, no, actually, yeah, at that point I was getting another queen, so even then my larva was still going well. So I think he did it a little bit early. I think he might have been able to hold off. This one was mained out, but this one was working really hard, and he still had this whole base that I knew nothing about, that I wouldn't have explored until probably after I killed his main base and was hunting the area. So he still would have had a good income coming in. That being said, I was aiming for this base, and then turned around and attacked this one. So my name has been Oddish. Thank you so much for watching. This is Semi-Noob Plays StarCraft 2. I see this as a very good game for me. I feel like I'm improving in terms of my PVZ, or ZVP, whatever you want to call it. And Roach Hydra's fairly good for it. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, commission, whatever you want to do. Thanks for watching. Bye.